The meeting, please come to order. This meeting is being held in full compliance with the Sunshine Law, where provisions of law have been fulfilled. And please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council President Zamora?
Here.
Councilman First?
Here.
Councilman Jenkins? Here. Councilman Kaplan?
Here.
Councilman Pat? Councilman Tackett? Here. Any Adobe's?
Here. Let the record show that I was in contact with Councilman Pat and he could not make tonight's meeting, okay? I've been threatened by several of the council members that I have to have the meeting over very quick tonight because it's Valentine's Day. So I'm going to try and set 10 o'clock as the agenda. I don't want to mention his name, but one of them was, the initials were SK. Now, I'm also going to try and do something that I mocked up on the organization meeting. So let me go slow so I don't miss anybody. I want to recognize previous council members, and I'm going to try and do it alphabetically. Councilman Class is in the front here, Councilman DeBus, Councilman Plant, how's that video, I got you this time, and Councilman Schuler. Thanks for coming down. We have a presentation today from Grant Berger, who is our consulting on flooding issues and the buyouts, and we've asked her to do two things, sort of bring the council up to date. We've had several meetings, and then also talk about the role she could play in providing us information on grants. Nickel.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Valentine's Day. In terms of the hazard mitigation grant program, the borough's FEMA hazard mitigation grant program application has been approved. As a result of the overwhelming demand for funds by communities across the state, FEMA has indicated that it will fund.
If you can't hear in the back, just raise your hands up, okay?
FEMA has indicated that it will fund 7 properties of the 14 properties in our application. The borough has received an agreement from FEMA, which is being reviewed by the borough attorney and is considered to be consistent with the contents of our application. Therefore, a resolution authorizing Mayor Dobles to execute this agreement will hopefully be on the next regular council meeting agenda. This project has a 75-25% cost share, with 75% of the total project cost coming from FEMA. The borough has applied for the 25% non-federal match from the NJDEP 2 Acres program, who last week announced it would fund the 25% non-federal match for select communities, including the Borough of Middlesex. The Borough of Middlesex is the only community not located in the Passaic River Basin to receive the non-federal matching share from Blue Acres. Both programs are working to provide some level of advanced funding. However, the borough will need to bond a small percentage of the project cost to be reimbursed through these programs. If agreed, I would have to work with the borough's bond council on that ordinance, which I would hope to introduce at a council meeting in March. The total project cost is $2.5 million. Total federal share 1.9. Total non-federal share is just over $600,000. I can't state enough. We have managed to fund the first 7 at 100% fully funded. This is great news. Once the agreements are executed and funding is in place, implementation will begin. The first step will be the solicitation of a qualified appraiser to provide an appraised value on the 7 properties included in this project. Once appraisals are complete, the borough will begin the process of determining what FEMA calls the final mitigation offer to acquire the property. Residents will have adequate time to relocate. A meeting with the property owners in this program was held on January 27, 2012, and the implementation process was outlined in detail. One resident who was not able to attend that meeting, I met with them individually upon return from their vacation, so I've spoken with them all. That's a summary of what's in on the hazard mitigation grant. As you'll see on tonight's agenda, we have a resolution for the Blue Acres application. Oddly enough, it was funded, yet they came back to us and asked us to make some changes to the application. So we have to go through the process of having the resolution passed tonight for the 25%, which we've already done. It's the state government, we won't argue it, we'll just do what we're told. So that is what that application is on the agenda. We have had a transfer sale with one of the 7 properties, and the mayor will reach out to that property owner who I believe had surgery, and we will sit down with that property owner to explain how that transfer works. This person will be eligible to continue to participate, but is not obligated to do so, and will not be penalized if they choose not to. Are there any questions on the program before I talk about grants? Last year, I came to you and outlined what it is that I do with FEMA programs. How I work with programs and the funder, and I will come to you when there's an opportunity, and then I would make a recommendation to you what we should pursue, what I feel the borough should pursue based on the likelihood of funding. That's generally how I work also with all kinds of grants. I'm a grant writer by trade. I'm one of 17 certified national grant professionals, national in the state of New Jersey. There's only 17 of us. So grants and funding is what I do for a living. To me, FEMA is just one of those programs, although it's definitely a program that I've spent a good amount of my time on in the last few years, as funding has become more and more of an issue in the state. I have secured and implemented grants for all types of projects, from parks to sewer infrastructure. You name it, I've done it. And when I have a relationship with the town, I also offer to provide guidance and support to some of their nonprofits that are struggling. For example, I just did a grant for a food pantry in the town where I am the grant person. I didn't charge the food pantry for that. They needed some shelving. There was an opportunity, so I helped them through that process because I have a relationship with the community. So I look at the community holistically and try to identify different funding for the different projects that are underway. That doesn't come at a cost, but I only do that for towns where I have a relationship, much like the FEMA would. I don't talk to FEMA about a town when I'm not their administrator. I don't talk to DEP or DOT or anybody else about a project for a town where I'm not the grants person. So if you're looking for a grants person that would be obviously dedicated to your community and advocating for projects, I'd be more than happy to be considered to do that as well as a FEMA.
One of the questions in talking to our council president and finance chairman is, we have a resolution prepared tonight. What the council president is asking for, we should put a dollar value in that resolution. It's not that we can't surpass it if something goes higher, but as the discussion you had with me and I had with the council is that if you're successful, then all the money comes from the grant. If you're not successful, then it's the obligation of the borough, whether it's Middlesex or any other borough. So I think there should be at least some seed money in, for example, if we do lose on one, then it won't be a shock where we have to raid everybody else's budget. The second thing I have is that I read your contract from last year, and I'm not convinced, although it says 14 homes, at that time you were expecting to have 14 homes.
Right.
Okay, and I think what I would like, and I'm sure the council would like, is a write-up. So again, we can put money in the budget to cover where we're going from here
Right.
in terms of the buyout.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you again to meet with our finance chairman and try and come up with something that the council can look at and then hopefully accept as part of a resolution.
Right.
Is that fair? Is
And-
that fair to everybody?
The 14 homes is exactly what we were doing at the time, which was the application. Now that the application has been awarded, we're looking at a whole different project,
Right.
which is the implementation. That's generally a 3-year project period. The money for that is in the FEMA grant. So that would be a different scope based on 7 as opposed to 14. But it was 14, and that's the application that we did. So it makes sense to phase it out. What are you working on? What's the proposal for what we're working on? And I do the grants the same way. If there's determined to be a good fit, whether it's recreation trails grant or safe out to school or whatever have you, I'll make my calls and talk to folks in town who think they have a project and the funder.
That's Michael. Speak up.
Sometimes Blackberry's not that good. Is your Blackberry too close to that? I was thinking,
Put up a little bit right now.
So a proposal is, only comes after, and it comes with a recommendation based on talking to farmers. So it's still a community business, and it's it's not to say that at the end of the year, we're gonna say, wow, we did 20 applications. We may not, we may only do 2. But the 2 we do are 2 we're gonna do based on confidence level that we're gonna be in the game.
Good.
I don't like wasting my time or your time on chasing grants that we know you're never gonna get. That's just silly.
Thank you very much. Excellent, thank you. If the public wants to ask their questions later on, we'll have an opening where you can ask questions if you want to. I'm going to make 2 appointments tonight. I think, in my mind, and the council president attended the meeting also, we had a very successful meeting with the Business Advisory Group. As a result of this, we want to move up and have more people on that committee. And tonight I'm appointing Mr. Peter Staffelli and Mr. David Basile, I might be pronouncing wrong, B-A-S-I-L-E, he's the one from Allstate, to that committee. This is a committee that doesn't require councilmatic voting on it. And to be honest with you, we would like to get, I think I had a discussion with the council president, that a committee of 15 is not unlikely to go with this committee. We have about 7 right now. So we're looking to bring some other, we're looking to bring some of the bigger business owners in so we can cover a wide variety of ranges. I don't know if you want to say anything, Ron, you were at that meeting, do you have the same feeling that it looks like we got a good group?
Yes, I think we had a very positive first meeting, and I'm looking forward to the second meeting, see what we can do from there.
Okay, there's no complications?
No.
Before we go into the adoption of the minutes, I want to make a couple of comments because I'm not sure everyone understands the importance of voting on minutes. For example, if the council votes on minutes, and for some reason after the minutes have been approved, they want to amend those minutes, you actually have to come back to the full board and have a resolution to amend the minutes. Kathy can't just do it automatically, okay? And as a result, looking at what the rigmarole that goes on is, I'm asking Kathy to have the minutes in the hands of the council by 7 days. Okay, and this is an estimate. There's going to be times when you don't have staff to do it, but we hope it's not going to be the majority of the time. This will give you time, several days to come back, to work with Ms. Anello if you have any corrections to it, and then she has Monday and Tuesday before the next meeting that she can make those corrections. Is that correct?
That's good.
Okay. Everybody okay with that one? Okay, want to go on to the minutes, please?
Or you got an extra,
I gotta do,
yeah, usually, I don't move them.
someone want to move the minutes of January 24th, regular meeting minutes, and February 7th, 2012?
Second.
Special meeting minutes? So moved. Any second?
Second.
If there's any discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I want to mention that now I'm only here not quite 2 months, and I've had a chance to evaluate some of our staff, and I think we always get some criticisms from people, and that's all right. But I'll give you an example of what happened today. Ms. Corcoran, who is our Chief Financial Officer, was very busy on the budget. She's done a fantastic job keeping everybody informed of changes. But today, because we had 2 sick people in the office, she not only had to worry about her office, she was covering the tax office, okay? This is above and beyond, and we're getting a lot of that. I see the same thing with Ms. Anello in trying to get the agenda quickly, and we're going to have some comments about that too, about when we think we should have it in, so we have a reasonable amount of time that any changes can come. That doesn't include emergencies. That's enough of my grandstanding. Let's go. Finance, Ron?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Recreation?
Okay. The Borough Council received correspondence from Gregory Lipsky, Middlesex Borough Rescue Squad. He stated that funding for training of volunteer emergency services personnel in New Jersey has undergone drastic changes as a result of ongoing state budget crisis. New Jersey EMTs must obtain and maintain their certificates. As much, Middlesex, Greenbrook, Denellen have banded together and are pooling resources. Volunteers of these organizations who are certified instructors will be provided with training. The rescue squad facilities are not large enough to accommodate the number of participants that will be attending these joint agency training sessions. Therefore, to accommodate the work schedule of all volunteers, they must offer each class multiple times throughout the month. They are therefore requesting a waiver to the once per month usage limit of the recreation center so as to permit them to provide training opportunities for all members. I forwarded this correspondence on to Dina Fornatano Healy at the Recreation Center. She said that she had spoken to Mr. Filipski and asked him to send her the dates, and she will.
Yeah, I would like, if possible, that for you and Councilman Kaplan to follow up on this, as he's liaison to the Recreation Commission.
I do have some comments on it,
Okay, go.
to speak to Rick Lipsky about that. In the lease, it does state that all times a year, they're allowed to use the rec center. They just need to supply Dina with the dates so she can give them proper permits to do so. With that, he spoke with Dina, and Dina just wanted to come to us, make sure it was okay as per the lease. And yes, it is, I did review the lease, and I think it's fine, so I think we should, at that point, just give her approval to go ahead and move forward on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that they can do it. I don't know how much they're expecting, but we do have that separation, and there's nothing.
No, they're just looking for 12 days, and by their lease, it does state.
If it can be worked out, work it out. Anybody have any problem with that? No? Okay, just handle it. Let's see, anything from fire? No, nothing? Public Works?
Yeah, we have an item for increase the garbage pickup to twice a week. Two members of the Public Works Committee met, one was absent, to review the acting supervisor's hourly work schedule, including the part-timers, for the proposed pickup from May 1st to August 31st for twice a week garbage. The mayor also emailed each of the council members this schedule. We also spoke to John Obrick, the health officer, and he also felt that it was in the best interest of the residents, to extend the garbage pickup. His concern, as well as many of the residents, were the rodents and the bugs. So the members of the committee who attended this meeting are all in agreement that we should move to the twice a week pickup, May 1st to August 31st. So it's the recommendation of the committee to the governing body to move to twice a week for this period. So also, we need to extend the 4 part-timers to August 31st.
Okay, that's, I agree with both of those. I think the Council President and Finance Chairman, the Bureau is going to also confirm that by the 31st.
Yes.
I think we'll have more information. Let's go one at a time. I'd like to, at least a straw vote of the council on the, let me see, time, May through August for twice a week pickup. Can I have a motion as such?
Yeah, you're not voting on it. You're not voting on it, so if you just want to go down, and I'll just go down if you want. Where you should. Council President Zamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
No.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaplan? I will be voting on this. So.
Okay, we don't have a resolution ready. There's 2 options. We can put that up for the up and down vote next meeting. If that satisfies everybody that voted yes?
Yes.
Okay. Would you put that on the thing to have a resolution? Okay, police, legal, code enforcement, and construction official. I did talk to Councilman Pfaff by email, and he did meet with the chief of police today, and we will have a report at the next meeting. Administration?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. I have several things other than what's on the docket because they came in late. Number 1 is the 2012 HUD grants. And again, I want to sort of give some good job to Linda. She's doing excellent minutes here. And Linda, I'd like you to just brief the council on some of the things that haven't been voted on, but they're thinking about for the grant.
We had on February 1st.
Can you get a microphone over here, please?
On
February 1st, the committee met, and our money's been reduced 9.1% for 2012. So now, the money we received from HUD is down to $48,921. The recommendations of the committee, we're actually going to have another meeting next Wednesday, but what they're looking into, Sheila Furman recommended some construction work done at the rec center. That was approximately $10,000. Some other ideas of the committee were manhole retrofitting in the target area. I'm getting a quote on that for the committee from Bob Toish. A backup generator for the rescue squad building, since that's an emergency shelter. Also, they recommended a backup generator for Lincoln Firehouse, but they said that they don't need one. Vic did mention that they do need at Lincoln Firehouse 2 overhead doors. They want to replace the upstairs sliding door and a small patio on the second floor. That was some of their recommendations.
They're on the target area, right?
Yes, they are. And then the committee also talked about any work left at Daisy Park. And at this time, they're going to meet next week and I guess come up with a
That'll be the
suggestion.
final.
Yeah, and they'll bring the suggestion, have a resolution on the meeting of the 28th. I don't know if council wants to come back with any information before next Wednesday.
I sent a letter to, an email to the council. If they have any suggestions, they will forward it to you.
And there'll be a resolution definitely on the meeting of February 28th.
So we meet our deadlines for.
The grants due March 2nd.
Number 2 is that I've been asked to recommend a community diversity chairman. I did pass out the background information to the council before, and I do have one recommendation at this time. I think my deadline is sometime in early March. So if you have any other suggestions about this, we're not only diversified in ethnic backgrounds, but we're diversified in our business community. So I think this is a good move. The second thing or the third thing, what you call, is the Plainfield Sewage Authority. I'm not sure how many people are aware that in the back where we have our OEM housed and actually in the front we have our sign and some of the PW people there. There's actually 8 sewer vats that have to be filled. There's also 2 buildings. This is owned by the Plainfield Sewage Authority, and I asked the council president to reach out to Plainfield Sewage Authority and also the Assemblyman Green so we can meet with them. We are working with the Montana, and they can provide clean soil to put in there from the bridge and stuff like that, and they will certify it as clean. But we got to get those buildings knocked down. I received a call from the police headquarters today that there's been another incident. The kids, the fence in the back is broken and the kids are coming into the old building. And if you haven't been over there, just take a walk over there and see how bad these are. God forbid that some kid falls into one of those pits and they're by themselves. We would never know. They would get it. So it's got to be addressed soon. It's more of an emergency. But I got to do some homework with the Plainfield Sewage Authority. All I need is their approval and then we can move ahead. The Cologne has put forth a proposal which sounds pretty good, and it's only a proposal at this time. And what he's saying is that we can get an additional $1 million for the Greenbrook Flood Commission. Councilman Pallone announced funding for the flood control projects in Fort Monmouth, Middlesex, and Vanilla. Pallone is trying to secure $2.9 million in fiscal year 2012, which enables the Army Corps of Engineers to complete beach replenishments in Fort Monmouth. That will begin in 2012. The additional $1 million secured in fiscal year 2013 budget will go towards the larger flood control project, which includes 7,070 feet levees, 3,585 feet of flood walls, and 2,640 feet of dunes. So we stand to gain, if this moves forward, we stand to gain with Danella about another $1 million. That goes based on the $5.8 million we recently received from the Army Corps of Engineers to move what we're doing now. Now again, keep in mind, we're at the bridge. We got a lot of work to do on Greenbrook Road. This $5.8 million will not bring us up quite to the Route 28 bridge. Okay, so that's the next allocation. but it will give us more money to complete that access coming from where they are now forward. I have appointed the beautification committee a thing I want to talk about. It's pride in Middlesex. I think one thing that we have to get as a group and as a town, we have to show that there is pride in Middlesex. We had it before, and I think we're missing a little bit, and we got to stretch out to everybody, not only the business committee, but the residents. I want to give another thank you to another person, that's Miss Anello, for the staff on getting these agendas together. You can't imagine, unless you're in the office, to see what goes on with the changes that have to be made. I'm going to recommend, and this is not new, it was done before, I'm going to recommend that all agenda items should be into Ms. Anello by the end of Wednesday night. This is before a meeting. That will give us the opportunity on Thursday to put it up, and it will give you the opportunity to read it either on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and get back the changes so it'll be finalized for the Tuesday meeting. Again, I would hope that you would mention to your staff that they're doing a nice job. Memorial Day Parade, I'm going to ask the council president to meet with the American Legion sometimes in March to start planning that. I'm asking you to do it, and you can bring any other group you want because you control the finances. That's the reason, okay? I have started to give out some surplus food today to some needy families. Again, I wish that the people that need it, the food was provided by the Church of Christ, and it was for flood victims. So I'm reaching out to flood victims, and if we don't have anybody that needs any more food, it's all non-perishable food, then we'll go to the needy in the town. And the last I have a call from Judge Basak just before I came to this meeting, and it appears that he has verbal approval from the two judges, the county judge and I guess the state judge, to move ahead on the deputy court clerk. And I told him we can put it on to the 28th, but I have to see the letters that these judges have endorsed the woman. And what I'm asking here, Ms. Anello, to talk to the chief till we start the background work on this young lady, okay? I think that's enough for me. I've got to get out of here by 10, otherwise I got 9. 9? Oh my gosh. Not like putting pressure. Mr. Attorney.
We're not going to get out by 9 if you floor to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, there were a couple of things that were tasked to me. One was as a result of a letter that was received by the administration regarding parking problem along the portion of Bateman Avenue. And that sort of prompted my reviewing the existing parking ordinances, which are codified in section 407 of the borough ordinances. I discovered that there's a great disparity in the fees or the fines that are charged. Initially I thought it was as low as $5 going up to about $50 for fines. There's no uniformity. I've since discovered that I was wrong, that it's as low as $2 for parking violations. So my recommendation with the board's approval would be to make them more uniform in canvassing some of the surrounding areas. And this county, New Brunswick, which has probably a higher density of parking issues than here. The average fines have been somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 for residential parking violations, going up to over $100 for commercial type violations. In the borough of Middlesex, there are generally 4 classifications of parking violations that would occur: those on residential streets, those along commercial corridors, special events parking violations, for instance, when there's a fair at the high school, and also for emergencies, for instance, if there's snow, a large amount of snow, flooding, cars being removed, parking violations then. But with the board's approval, I'd like to at least provide something to the board that we can act on that.
What I'd like you to do is put your recommendation in writing and address it. If I'm wrong on who I'm picking, just correct me. I think this belongs to Councilman First. Is that correct, fees? Would your committee take a look at his recommendation and make any modification you feel is necessary? If not, bring it to us as soon as possible. I'll leave the timing up to you on that.
Second issue is the sanitary sewer interlocal services agreement with the Township of Piscataway. I have had a number of meetings, both telephone and in person, with my counterpart in Piscataway, Township Attorney in Piscataway, to finalize the specifics of the interlocal service agreement for sanitary sewer service. There are portions of Middlesex Borough that tie into Piscataway's lines, and then they go out, they feed from there to the sanitary sewer collection area. A question that came up during the back and forth discussions was exactly how much sewage pipe we were actually utilizing in Piscataway. What I mean by that is we were only talking about a short distance where Middlesex Borough properties were using a very short distance or length of Piscataway sewage pipes to get out to the sewage treatment facility. And it wouldn't make sense for us to pay the rates that they're asking us to pay, which would be the same whether we go entirely across Piscataway Township or not. So we're still caught in those negotiations. With the help of Ms. Anello, I've identified the individual that is the counterpart to the DPW head in Piscataway that can actually answer those questions. We need to look at the sewage pipes to determine what's fair.
I'd like you to give to the Borough Council on the 28th your best recommendation at this time for their review. If that then passes with your negotiating with the Piscataway, then I would ask that that be put on the program for the first meeting in March. And the reason for that is this has been lingering on for quite a while. And I don't know if it's possible because of the negotiations going on, but any attempt at least bring the council up to date where you're at by the 28th, okay?
The only question I have to our attorney is what information do you need from the borough to help get to that point?
I need to know exactly how much of our, number one is I need to know flow rates, how much we would utilize as a maximum. Right now, we've estimated approximately 1 million gallons a day as being the maximum. The second is exactly how many areas we're tying into the Piscataway. So if we're utilizing a very short amount of their actual sewage pipelines, the costs that are factored in take into account that there's wear and tear on their system as a result of us utilizing their system. If we're only utilizing 3 feet from the edge of Middlesex Borough to the treatment facility, then there's no reason for us to pay exorbitant because we're not really utilizing that much.
They're not throwing any administrative cost in there, right?
Well, they are. There's quite a bit in terms of administrative cost and in terms of the cost of maintenance and even just putting cameras at the line to check to see what's going on down there. So we're negotiating those points still.
I think the people that you want to contact would be Jerry Sheehan and also Tom Oswald. They're the 2 people that would have the most information on the system. Anybody else have any suggestions?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
The other thing I want to do, and it's not on here, is that way back when several years ago, the work done on William Street, we never had an information from Piscataway on what our costs were going to be. And as a result of that, there was a late funding of that project. And now they're talking about South Avenue, and I'm not sure the council is ready to say this is their top priority. The other thing that, and this might not be you, this might be me or somebody from the council, I'm just talking at this point. The other thing is, I received information from, I think you, that what they're charging for an appraisal is $185 an hour. I would hope that the people that we're hiring can do better than that. Okay, so I would sort of ask the council to reject the recommendation that company we talked about last time and at least go to see what our people would do. And again, I'm open to that. If nobody likes that, just tell me, okay? I'm only talking.
It's $180 an hour?
$185 an hour.
How many houses are we talking about?
3 houses.
Before you say that, $185 just for the attorney, not
That's
for
correct.
the appraisal.
The appraisal would be extra and the acquisition cost would be an additional amount and to finalize deeds. The costs are open-ended. They're not not gonna get to a point where it's ridiculous, I would hope, but certainly going into it, I think the mayor's admonishment that we know at least how much it's gonna cost, at least a good faith estimate is something that I've asked the Piscataway counterparts on South Street project, on South, to provide us beforehand.
So we're talking about 3 properties?
I believe that's three, I think there's 3 properties that we have too.
That's great.
Right. I think the reason why they had recommended that is try to have conformity, and so that they're doing all the other properties around there, just to try to have, you know, to conform and kind of keep it streamlined as far as doing that. But if the costs are gonna be, you know, open-ended like that, then I think that you need to.
I don't think we should pass resolutions without some kind of dollar value there, if we can do it with our own people. And that brings up the question for Joanne. Do we have to be one step removed for the appraisals? Can the company we hire do the appraisals for the buyouts?
You have to do a separate RFP for
Yeah,
FEMA program.
Okay.
And it won't be a conflict if they submit, but you can't contract them for dual purposes. You have to contract them for the FEMA grant specifically.
Is that a yes or no?
No,
It's
Yeah,
a
do so.
yes, but not in the same contract. So if you hire them tomorrow, you couldn't say, okay, we also want you to do the FEMA work, because you have to do a separate RFP process as per FEMA for that project.
Basically, like we do the RFPs for our professionals, we would have to do that for the appraisal service.
Yes.
If our existing appraisal service did apply, or they did put in the RFP, then we could choose them if we want.
Absolutely.
Sleep?
Yeah, you just have to show that it's a fair process, and you can't confuse the dollars with any other work.
Okay, it's still your nickel.
Thank you. I think the last item I have is an ordinance regarding videotaping of the council meetings. A number of the municipalities, surrounding municipalities and other municipalities in the state have proposed and adopted ordinances regulating the videotaping and audio recording of meetings. That the purpose of the ordinances are not to stop the videotaping or recording of the meetings, but to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand, where they would have a number of cameras, similar to, for instance, the press pooling that would occur on a national or even statewide basis, where you have more than 1 or 2 cameras. It'd be unnecessary if all of them are capable of getting the same feed. With that in mind, I have looked into some of the other surrounding municipalities to look to see what types of ordinances they've passed. I put together a draft ordinance, which I've included in the packet. If any of the members of council have any questions for me regarding the proposal.
And I don't think anyone should fear this. I've already talked to the gentleman that does the videotaping here. We have Piscataway TV, which we're part of that group, okay? To my knowledge, they've come down once. If somebody comes in other than the gentleman there, that say Piscataway, they would have to provide him, and if there was another cameraman, they would have to provide him with the tape. Okay, so there's not anything taken away. Actually, I like being on TV, so it doesn't matter. But there's nothing in here. You can read it over, get back to your council representatives. If you have any fears about it, please come back. I'm going to turn this again, Councilman, first over to your committee to review and get pros and cons of it.
I do have one question.
Yes.
If the borough decided to videotape the meetings and made the videotape available to the public, does that override the need for this ordinance?
Not necessarily,
I'm
because,
asking the attorney that question.
well, I can answer it though. But I'll see if you're right.
Okay. It wouldn't override the ordinance itself. The ordinance would still be in effect, limiting the number of recording devices that are operating at any given time. So if the purpose of the recording is to have a complete transcript, audio, video transcript of the council meetings, and that's accomplished by having one source that's doing it rather than 5 or 6 cameras. It also encourages, I guess, people to come to the meeting, or they can't come to the meeting at some point, to be able to view what's occurred at the meetings at some later point when it's more convenient. Am I right?
Well, it's close. I don't think that we can, and he's right in many regards, I don't think we can deny under the freedom of information, anyone from any camp. I don't expect that. And if you plan on doing that, that's fine. This will cover you till you make that decision. But again, I feel that at this point I have to protect this gentleman and anyone else that would come in. For example, if another person wanted to come in, the first person on Friday that tells us we're gonna go in, it's a simple email to Ms. Anello, that's gonna be the person that's responsible. Now, I know of no one else that wants to videotape, so this gentleman here is gonna have the right as far as I'm concerned. So I think he answered you correct, Council President, and again, I don't wanna hamper anybody's ability under the Freedom of Information Law. Again, it's in your committee, Councilman Forrest. Are you done? That wasn't too bad. Before we go into the consent agenda, I want to pull one item number 14. If you remember, at the last meeting, I asked that I thought we could get something in return for allowing them to install fiber optics. Again, Ms. Anello took upon herself to look into that, and we have a memo from T&M that we just got that will make available to the council. It covers several items, but on the one that we're particularly interested in, it deals with the possibility of us getting either some money or some help. We're talking about fiber optics, hopefully going into the recreation center. We're talking about fiber optics going into the DPW. I'm not saying we're going to get that, but again, depending on what the usage is, remember when the cable television came in, if these people are going to have hookups for television via optics, fiber optics, we may be able to get some piece of that change for us too. So I'd like to pull that to allow me or the council members that want to meet with this company to see what we can do. Maybe we should be at that meeting, okay? Any questions on pulling that? Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mayor, first on the consent agenda, resolution 4012, renewing towing licenses for 2012. We need to take that off the table, I believe, because we didn't have it, last week we tabled it. So I would need a motion to pull it from the table to bring it back up.
Motion? Second?
All in favor?
Okay, so, great, so now we're gonna do the consent agenda, resolution 4012, renewing towing licenses for 2012. Resolution 5212 is requesting permission for a dedicated by rider for donations for the 100th anniversary celebration. Resolution 5312, approving the amusement licenses for 2012. Resolution 5412 is providing a temporary budget. Resolution 5512, redeeming tax sale certificate 2011-1753 and 2011-1754 for Block 86, Lot 6.01, C001C, and Lots 6.01, C001B, which are the condominium numbers actually. Resolution 5612 is authorizing the mayor and borough clerk to execute the 2012 municipal alliance contract with Middlesex County. Resolution 5712, approving a grant consultant for the borough of Middlesex. Resolution 5812 is a DEP Green Acres enabling resolution. Resolution 5912, repealing Resolution 290-11 dated December 20th, 2011 regarding a settlement agreement and release for 14 Marshall Place. Resolution 6012 is authorizing appointing Anthony Parenti and Reed DeFilippis as the school crossing guards for the borough of Middlesex. Resolution 6112 is accepting the resignation of Marjorie Santana as a school crossing guard effective January 25th, 2012. Resolution 6212 is approving access to URS on behalf of GATX Corporation to travel across 2 borough-owned properties to construct a monitoring well on Block 318, Lot 50. Resolution 6312 is authorizing the execution of a purchase agreement with the Middlesex Regional Educational Service Commission Cooperative Pricing System for the purchase of electricity. Resolution 6512 is authorizing the execution of a purchasing agreement with the Middlesex Regional Education Service Commission Cooperative Pricing System for the purchase of natural gas.
Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to pull resolution 57-12. Separate from the group.
Okay. I mean, pull it to kill it or to discuss it later?
I I'd like to hold the table it until I can sit down with Joanne and get a little more detail in the cost of the, as we spoke before. So I was putting a number in that resolution.
That's the one to the grant itself, 57, and 57.
Oh, this one here.
You just need a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Is there any second?
Second.
I'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those two are pulled, 57, 12, and 64.
Any motion on the motion? A motion on the motion?
Yes.
Your motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We need a roll call vote.
I call roll, it's one more.
Okay. Council President Tamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash?
Yes.
We don't have to move anything, no, consent agenda, we just have to vote. Yes, and this one. Tonight, I'd just like to mention on the mayor doing the special,
Sean, this is yours, can you explain this?
Sure. Resolution that we possibly, was quotes received for consultant to review the borough's FCC license modification and narrowband emissions designators. Basically, we received two quotes from consultants. I received them late Friday afternoon, and they had the opportunity. Unfortunately, they didn't get it on for the resolution, but we do have the information in front of us. It was reviewed, the pricing was reviewed, and the consultant, who would be, the resolution, actually she has a resolution passes even, if it passes, but Vogel Consulting Group came in as favorable compared to the other one.
If you'd like, I'd read some of it if you'd like.
Absolutely.
And this is on the non-consent agenda that's not listed on the agenda. It's Resolution 67-12, whereas quotes were received for a consultant to review the borough's FCC license modifications and narrowband emissions designators, and with Vogel Consulting Group of Ramsey, New Jersey was the lowest qualified quote and will perform the tasks at an hourly rate not to exceed $200 per hour, with a not to exceed cost of $10,000 plus coordination fees of approximately $220 per frequency/channels per antenna site. And whereas there are many influences beyond their control, such as the approval of the fire coordinator, and unforeseen actions by the FCC, making it impossible to quote a firm price. Now therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Middlesex, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that Vogel Consulting Group be awarded as a consultant for the FCC license modifications and narrowband emissions designated in an amount not to exceed $10,000. And just to state that the CFO hereby certifies the funds, counted in
Also like to know, this is coming out of the capital project last year for the narrowbanding, rebuilding of the radios. 2013's come up quickly, and we did get the consultant on board, which would be great, so we can go ahead and address the antenna issue we currently have.
So I read a motion.
So motion.
For a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All I want to say here is that I appreciate the work you did on this, because originally we asked you to come back at this meeting, but I actually moved it to the end because you were at a business meeting for a whole week. So I appreciate the work that was done here, and I know the priorities were up against, so I think it's a good idea to move that tonight. Thank you. This is one so total.
Council President Tamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash?
Yes.
And Resolution 6612 is payroll claims. Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Please call roll.
Council President Tamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash? Yes.
Okay, we're now into, I don't have to open up yet, we're into the discussion on the agenda workshop. Item number 1, recommendation of the planning to amend chapter 420-7, 23 and 24, and chapter 48-7 of the Borough Code. I have that was turned over to Councilman First and Councilman Bureau.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman First and I did meet yesterday evening. And I did talk to our zoning officer in reference to the recommendations as far as that came from the planning board. And Mr. First and I both agree that the boat ordinance as far as the storage, recreational vehicles and boats, we're agreeing, basically I know everyone has a copy of the proposed ordinance. If you want me, the definition of a yard is on there, definitely the front yard, rear yard, and side yard, which is what we asked the board to give us. As far as the storage of it, I will read that portion of it. Trailer recreational vehicles, trailers, boats are permitted in a residential zone and shall be stored in a private garage, in a rear yard, or on a impervious, case I can't talk today, surface in the side yard, providing a minimum 2-foot setback from the side property line. Now there is a typo there, at least in mine, there's a typo, not to exceed beyond the front of their house or their building line. That should be added there. I don't know why that is not added there. So please add that to that. No matter where a trailer recreation vehicle, trailer, or boat is parked on the property in a residential zone, it must be currently registered with the DMV and must be readily operable. Any material used to cover or protect the vehicle must be maintained in a good condition. We're also, the other recommendation that the zoning officer did make is that we're going to, which the planning board did make, is that we're also going to omit or remove, I guess, from the land development procedures, section 248-7.8:3:. So basically what that said, it kind of contradicted what the zoning ordinance said in reference to the boats. And the planning board recommended that that be removed from the land development procedure, so if someone can come through, for a variance to go over about that. So that's the recommendation that Mr. First and I are making to move this ordinance forward
Okay,
for the next meeting.
If that's the recommendation, just so everybody knows, you need a majority of the council. This is a rejection of a planning board document in here, so you need more than just a simple need for a vote. Okay, so if you're moving or First is moving, if you do that, then you can see there's no votes. And you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that's correct. Councilman First, you want to move that?
Yeah, absolutely. Make a motion to move forward.
And you're going to second it?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Council President Zamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 4, so that meets the requirements to reject that. Okay, thank you.
So this will be introduced on the 28th?
Yes.
Okay.
To the 100th anniversary, Councilwoman Takash.
Okay. Middlesex Borough will be turning 100 years old in the year 2013. We're planning an all-day celebration starting with the parade and continuing throughout the day with entertainment and activities at Mountain View Park and then to end with the evening with the fireworks display. The Middlesex Borough 100th Year Anniversary Committee meets the first Wednesday of each month in the library community room at 7 p.m. The 3 dates we're proposing are July 20th, 2013, July 27th, 2013, and August 3, 2013. Nadine Kemi has arranged to run a Middlesex Borough 100th Anniversary Logo Contest. We're looking for artistically talented students to create an original logo to celebrate the 100th year anniversary of Middlesex. The logo should include an original graphic design with original slogans celebrating this monumental occasion. The contest is open to all students in grades 7th through 12th who are residents of the borough. The winner will be chosen by the 100th Anniversary Committee and will receive the U.S. Savings Bond and will be featured in an newspaper article. Letters have been sent to the principals of both high school and Mortar School explaining the contest and asking that they distribute the contest rules and submission application to all students eligible to participate in the contest. Secondly, the About Our Town paper was contacted to see if they could advertise the logo contest in their next edition. And lastly, contest rules and submission applications were forwarded to the Borough Webmaster to be placed on the Borough website for children to download. Submissions are to be postmarked no later than March 30th to be eligible. Kathy and Ellen has arranged for us to have a mailbox set up in Borough Hall where we will receive all of our correspondence. We'll be having a few raffles to offset the event. Karen Petier of Century 21 Golden Post Realty has offered 2 26-inch beach cruisers, 1 boys and 1 girls. They will be raffled off. We're going to start the raffle at the Easter egg hunt, and it's going to go, they're also going to be displayed the whole week of the Fireman's Carnival, and we will raffle them the last night of the carnival. They're probably going to be $5 raffle ticket. We also have 2 other raffles. The Cultural and Heritage Committee has offered to make a commemorative quilt to be raffled, and James Florentino has offered to donate an original piece of artwork to be raffled. We hope to display the quilt and the artwork at all events leading up to the day of the big event, and the winner being picked on the day of the final event. We're considering some other ways to offset the cost of the event. We hope to be able to sell rubber bracelets, card magnets, beach towels with the logo on them. The swimming pool has agreed to sell the towels during the upcoming 2012 season. We will also hopefully be organizing the follow events which will lead up to the big event. We're going to try and do a Taste of Middlesex where local restaurants will donate food. The charge for this event will be approximately $20 to $25 per head. Movie night in Mountain View Park, where we will sell glow sticks, popcorn, and candy. A scavenger hunt to be held at either the Fall Festival or the Fishing Derby. A chili cook-off to be held at the Fall Festival. And on May 20th, the unearthing of the 75th year time capsule, which is located in front of the old police headquarters, along with the flower and art show, and possibly an apple bake-off, and lastly, telephone calls from Santa. We're also looking into an Applebee's fundraiser and possibly a trick or treat.
Thank you. What I've asked you to do is to, on the first meeting in April, have the committee come in and give a presentation of what plans they have that are formalized at that time. And while I'm at that, I'm going to ask, just a moment, I'm going to ask Ms. Anello to make sure she contacts all of the commissions or committees. Now, we have excellent minutes from the zoning board and planning board. Linda's done a nice job on the HUD. I'd like the council to get copies of all the minutes of all our committees so they know what's going on in town. And I now have the flood advisory, which is great. Thank you, guys.
I just have one question for you. Are we supposed to pick it, or are you looking for the governing body to pick the date for the event?
Well, I asked them to give me 3 dates that I could bring back to the governing body, and I thought, yeah, we can.
I would recommend that they pick that, and I'll tell you why. All of the dates are good because we're beyond 4th of July. 4th of July is a big, if you were going to try and do fireworks at that time, it's going to cost you. Unless you want to do it, Council President, I don't really care.
No, I was just asking if that's something that they wanted us to do.
Okay, so I'll have them pick the date now.
The interlocking agreement, Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yeah, so point 3 and 4 will kind of group them together. Bill Coyle was appointed the liaison for the Board of Ed to the council, similar to me, liaison for the Board of Ed to the council. He approached me at the last Board of Ed meeting, bringing up these 2 subjects, the field lights and the technical agreement. So, Mr. Joe here, I think we should reach out to them, set up a meeting, discuss these 2 items, and possibly, I know you have a couple other items on the list that you
Yeah,
also.
I think that's a good idea. Maybe, why don't I set up a meeting up with the superintendent and the board president? Is that fine?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. South Avenue Road Improvement.
I spoke about that earlier.
I skip something?
No, you're good. Oh, the high school football lights is going to be included into
She
that.
said that.
Yeah, 3 and 4.
So, right,
She said time.
right, so you're on 5.
South Avenue Improvement Project, Sherman Avenue to Hall Street. And again, I don't know if any, does anyone know any prices that, again, I'm not sure this is on the council's list for a priority project. Was this agreed last year? I mean, I don't know.
No.
And again, I think we ought to reach out to Piscataway and find out what these things are
Yeah,
costing.
This has been going on for a very long time. They want to finish the project, my understanding.
Yeah. I was here when Mayor D'Angelo was here, and one of the big problems, they're gonna do some kind of building block
On both
and put
sides.
sidewalks in it. And I don't know if anybody knows what South Ave, or Sherman Street looks on our side. The houses are almost right on the street, a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them are right there, so you can't get sidewalks in. And And I'm not sure we need those in blocks. I mean, that's nice. If Piscataway wants to buy them for us, we'll go into that.
I mean, I would just like to get, you know, what our part of this project is gonna cost before we even.
Now, also too, if the design phase of this has already been done, you have to pay for it.
No, that was the agreement that made, that was also the agreement made on South Avenue, I guess, with Mayor Sherrill. And any of the costs for the design was picked up by Piscataway.
I'd like to get that in writing, just to make sure, because we had an agreement years ago on certain of the streets. I'd like to get that in writing, so once we move forward, they can never come back to us and state, hey,
I agree.
Sounds good.
we're looking for money.
The next two are estates from Walter Ryan. I'm going to turn that back. Councilman First, you're going to be busy. Hope that new job will usually have time to do this. The first one is important because we've been using that property probably 40 years, probably more than that. It's a little pocket park. We used to have some playground equipment like a basketball hoop. It's bordered on Lincoln Boulevard and the pond, and it's the end of Second Avenue. So it's only a small park. And they're willing, because there's taxes, they're willing to develop the vacant property. The other one involves money, so that's going to have to go and maybe get some see. So if you can get a recommendation, even on the first one, as quick as possible, if you decide we don't want to do it, that's fine. Newfield's requested exchange due to temporary discharge of
This is, again, them requesting to come back for a temporary discharge approval.
We have
They
to sign
renew it
it,
every
right?
year. It's
We have to
renewed
sign it
every
because
year.
it's the borough.
Yep. And so, I just want to know if you want to put it on for a resolution.
Does anybody have any problem? The DEP want a lot of businesses, but we have to do it because it's our town. But they're responsible for everything. Political commission, annual fee,
Thanks, Mayor. I put this on the agenda for discussion tonight. It was brought to my attention that I guess probably around 2005, 2006, I guess the governing body at that time should start charging the swimming pool commission an annual fee of $25,000. I guess to do their financial work as far as payroll and things of that sort. You know, this commission, from the time it started many years ago, has been self-sufficient, has given this town a phenomenal service and product as far as the swimming pool that many of our residents continue, have and continue to benefit from. I don't see that we charge any other commission, meaning the rec commission, that we do payroll for any annual fee. And I just think it's unfair that we have a committee that is self-sufficient, and doesn't cost the borough any money, that we sit there and take $25,000 a year from them, when they've done a great job to be self-sufficient and not cost the taxpayers any money. So, you know, I would like to recommend to the governing body that we no longer charge that fee.
is that
You want to make a motion? I'll make a motion that we no longer charge
let's
that
have
fee.
it down. Yes, please.
Okay, I make the motion that we do not charge that annual fee.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Council President Tamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Zakash?
Yes.
Motion carried. Before you go on to the last one, there's a lot of reasons why you have attorneys. One of the reasons is when I skip something, the attorney comes with me, I tip in ribs. And I skipped item number 8, which is to request to hold the first James Riley Memorial Fishing Derby at Fisher Pool Park. This was a letter that I passed on to you from Ms. Laura Thomasy. You know the story behind it. There was a memorial put up for this young gentleman who, according to the memo, he was an avid fisherman and did a lot from there. This is up to the council, whether you want to name it or not. I know it's the council's responsibility. I hope you're going to try and put one together this year.
Well, I did have several requests. One from the 100th anniversary committee to start working on that. One from the Elks, I had a fishing derby with them. So, I'm not sure, I do have a couple questions regarding the Memorial Fishing Derby they want to hold. If it's a memorial, would they be charging anything, or is there any kind of funds?
I understand that we're putting funds into it,
Okay.
but why don't we table it and you meet with Mrs. Thomas?
That would be great. I do have a lot of questions, so
Okay,
we can do
why
that.
don't you do that? Is that okay
Okay.
with everybody?
Yes.
Master plan,
Yeah, I just put this on for discussion. You know, the discussion of having a new master plan or having the master plan updated has been an issue since before I was appointed on the council in 2010. I know it was an issue prior to that. We're now sitting in February of 2012. Do we have any idea how close we are to getting this plan done?
the last minutes that we just got indicate that they're just about ready to bring it forward. That's the only thing I have, but I can't tell you any more than that.
Is there anything we can do to put a fire in them to finally get this thing done, or put a deadline on it by the end of March to finally get this to us?
Why did I contact the chairman?
Okay. That's the question I have with that.
Okay, courtesy report, anyone wishing to speak, please use the microphone.
Couple of things. With regard to what your borough attorney was discussing about the sanitary sewer in a local agreement, can we also include in this area the portion of Middlesex sewer that they actually use over off of Raritan Avenue?
I'm sorry,
The portion of their sanitary sewer off of Raritan Avenue that is on our property? Okay, let's see, also, when they're looking at your negotiations, can you look at flow rate and suspended solids? Because a lot of these suspended solids that are over there are from the commercial properties along the north side of William Street, which, I guess recently, there was an ordinance passed that increased how much we're charging them, so that if they're going to be including that, our ordinance has an opportunity for us to pass that along to those particular commercial property owners, rather than have the borough eat that. And also that the administrative cost should be proportional to the flow and the linears that you're actually looking at, rather than the way they're talking about it now, where the administrative fees are sometimes 50% of the actual flow rate. And also to consider the fact that there's more density over off of William Street now due to the development by Piscataway for Piscataway, because it used to be that the majority of that area that we were using was only because there was nothing else over there. But now that they've got their development over there, perhaps that burden should be put on those developers or those residents who are taxpayers in the township of Piscataway. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're taking certain steps to try and prevent flood waters or clean waters going into the system that we're paying a lot of money for treating good water. Some of it's violation of people that have their sump pumps going into the wrong area instead of they're going into the sanitary sewer instead of the other sewer line. So we're going to address some of that issue, but you've got a couple of good points that we should discuss. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Pete Watson. I've been coming to a lot of the meetings over the last couple of years, so I think council members that have been on there can testify on standing attendance. It's been about a month, though.
Am I supposed to be worried about that, or just?
I know the lingering issues, so I just got to catch up on a few things. In terms of today's agenda, I was wondering what the price was we were going to get from the MRESC for electricity per kilowatt. Do we have a price on that?
That's the electricity purchase from, actually, we don't have.
You won't get that, and we haven't approved anything yet. All we're doing is giving the paperwork to to the county. They'll have it on electricity, and they'll have it on gas. And what they do a survey of what we're paying now for the various people, and if we're gonna save money, then we go there. If we're not saving money, there's nothing. So there's no, all that gives, the county has requested that we show an interest, because they're gonna expend manpower to do all the study work for us. So nothing is done yet.
Right, I mean, you know, right now the price of electricity, because that's closely associated with natural gas. Natural gas is taking a huge dive down. Now might be a good time to lock in for a couple of years while the market's low. A lot of municipalities across the state have been locking in, you know, so there's been some outstanding prices. I've heard 6.8 cents for a two-year fixed price deal. And that's a great price. Just a few years ago, it was 13.5 cents. So you can get 6.8, you know, you're making out like a bandit. So I would look into the fixed pricing, but I don't think you can just jump in.
We're not,
Yeah,
we're not.
yeah. You're gonna have to, as they go out for bid, they have an energy consultant. They put your power usage on the proposal, and then because it's unfair for a supplier to bid on a power load and then have it change after the bid, so.
That's exactly why these cooperatives are being formed, so they can do that and get around that issue that you just stated.
Right.
For us.
Okay, and I guess the same thing with the natural gas. Right now, floating on the market, you're making out well, but, you know, might be a time to lock in while the supply is good. As a matter of fact, there's a bill in the Fed, for the feds right now, that's gonna allow exporting of natural gas to other countries because of a surplus. So if that bill goes through and becomes law, there was actually one company that got approved to export the natural gas. If that becomes more widespread, the supplies of natural gas are gonna go down, it's gonna increase your prices. So, something to keep an eye on.
I thank you for bringing that to our information, and I gotta give credit to our tax collector. She was the one that brought it to our attention. Tanya Hobosky looked into this and actually got the ball rolling for it. So again, thanks for your information. You have something else?
Yeah, I have a lot of other things. I hate Valentine's Day, so I'm in no hurry. I don't know about anybody else, I'm sorry, but. How are we gonna pay for the high school football lights?
Well, first of all, I've already talked to Councilman Jenkins. We've got several problems. Number one is we have a partial assessment of the safety of those lights. If you're familiar with over there, and unless you want to talk about it, can I, what the high school has done is they put chains on it. And we had the engineer go over and look at it. And part of the problem is the lights are antiquated, okay? Secondly, the crossbars are wood. And you know what happens in wood over many, many years. It's starting to deteriorate. So we have a potential safety issue. But the Board of Education, and I see a woman that's on the Board of Education here, but I don't want to put her on the spot. The last conversation I had is the board was thinking about having all daytime, and I don't know if that's been passed or not. And I don't know, Sharon, do you want to comment on that? Has that been passed or not?
Is he put you on the spot anymore?
I know, yes. It was in committee.
Okay, so it's in committee. There's discussion going on. What we've done on Simchak Field is we have different lightings that happens. It's not high up, it's down at base level. So if they go to say a daytime schedule only, there's only 4 games, then the potential of having those lights there would be better because that would allow the football team still to practice in the dark without having all those lights and the cost there. So there's quite a few issues, and that's why Councilwoman Jenkins has brought that to our attention, and that's what we're going to meet the superintendent and board president, right?
Yes.
So the board president.
Yeah.
The board president.
So,
And that's going to be the week after next. I understand the superintendent is out of it.
so the costs aren't gonna be on the municipality, it's
No,
gonna be.
no.
Okay. I wouldn't wanna pay for them anyway. Who needs ice? What's the, on resolution 56-12, what is a municipal alliance contract?
That's the Drug Alliance contract.
That's the drug alliance. Pride, we get money, it works out of high school. You know, Pride is that about, they're really aimed at maybe, school children, dealing with drugs, dealing with alcohol, that kind of thing. They're sort of an advisory group that's, I think it's paid by a grant that we get every year.
Yes, it
And they hire one person to sort of look over it. We have Cindy Choman is the secretary. Cindy, she was the previous police chief's secretary. She works part-time over there. There's a committee of about eight or nine residents that meet monthly and try and come up with different things. At one time, the Pride, they send pupils to different states actually to learn more about the problems that we face nowadays. Again, this is a fully funded, as far as I know, there's no funds coming from the borough at all, despite agreement.
I believe we need to have the contract so we qualify for the grant.
Right.
That's what the resolution is for.
And it's a substance abuse prevention program.
Right.
Okay. I'm just wondering, we have a good CFO here, if she had a chance yet to determine what the surplus or deficit was coming off of last year's budget, not excluding the hurricane emergency appropriation?
You want to address that? I'm not sure we're at this point in the budget.
Did we get that number in here?
Yeah, I know what the surplus is at this point.
You don't know it?
I do know it,
Oh, you do know it. What was the surplus?
954,000, I believe.
900, okay, and that doesn't include the hurricane?
No,
over the
it doesn't.
year. Okay.
Which was a little less than last year, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it was a little less than about 50,000
What was
last
applied last
year.
year, so you applied up?
Okay. The union contracts are not settled?
None of the contracts are settled at this point. We have a negotiating team of Councilman First, Council President, you and myself.
Okay. I did a lot of work on those police contracts, and I was at the meetings last year. Yeah. Councilman First knows how
There's a new regulation that any contract that's negotiated must go on the internet, must be posted.
Oh, really?
And the state has to, you have to report to the state, you have to put it up so people can see what the contract was negotiated.
The state unions just got zero for 2 years. There's a lot of municipal employees aren't getting any raises, So I mean,
You don't have to tell them, municipal employees, they know that.
you hold the line, I'm tired, the police are always spoiled. Now, the chapter 78 with the health benefits law that increased the contributions.
They've already been taken out, already, this Portland has not seen it.
Right. What are we gonna do with that money?
I'm not gonna spend it.
It's used to offset the cost of the premiums.
Right. There were some bills released, right, that knocked down the municipal share, employer share of PFRS and the PERS payments for employees, right? Can we go on record to say we're gonna dedicate that money to property tax relief?
No, I can't say that right now, and I'll tell you why. We don't know what the governor's doing. And all of a sudden, we get hit with a $500,000 reduction. And the governor wants to give everybody 10%. Where he's getting the 10%, I don't know yet. But if he takes it from the borough or the school board, that can have a big impact. I don't want to say yes, I don't want to say no now, because I don't know the answer. Okay, all I can tell you is this council, including everybody here, wants to come to as most conservative budget as we can. I know it's going to be a lot less than last year, as it stands right now, unless the the government takes more money from us. And that's the big question right now.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard,
The
they're gonna
answer is
hold the
maybe.
line. They're gonna hold the line with state aid, so, you know, hopefully we can use some of that money to offset.
Holding the line.
Are they gonna, has there been any full-time employees, hired?
No.
this month? Not yet.
No.
Have you received the landfill, report, that's to be released by DEP from the feds?
No, not yet.
There's been some.
We've got letters, but nothing that, the last is we had to file a letter, basically talking about closure of the landfill. But it's not ready. There's problems with the federal government. That's the whole right now. They found, and I don't want to get scared people. When I say a hot pocket, it means something that's above the level of what the state has established for certain chemicals, okay? So they have to come back in and they're responsible for cleaning that up. I'm not even going to say it's radioactive because I don't think it is. I think it's just a higher chemical concentration. And we found it in a very unusual place, and I don't want to go into the details on that.
I have the
It's
whole
someplace
file.
that I wasn't expecting.
The nuke, from Colorado, I have the whole file, so I know it probably better than you.
We probably know it better than I do at this point.
So I had some residents ask me about the tennis courts. We got a $500,000 grant.
We're backing up 2 grants, and the council president has directed the new engineer to come up with a plan for revising the back of the Mountain View Park. One of the questions is up, I don't know if you want to address this, Ron, the number of tennis courts is in question of what we have to replace as far as our agreement with the Board of Education. And that's another item that Ms. Jenkins and I are going to be discussing with the superintendent.
Hopefully by the 28th, the February 28th meeting, we will have some plans for the council.
Do you know the tentative plans where we're gonna go? Are they gonna tear up the old courts and put down new courts? Or?
That's a decision they're gonna make. They're gonna look at that and make that, the recommendation to us on the plan.
Well, is it a matching grant where we got 500,000?
These are not matching grants. From this point on, they're matching grants.
Well, technically, the second $500,000 that we had last year, we have a total of almost $1 million into this project. The second $500,000 that we got last year, technically, yeah, it is a matching grant, but what we did is we were able to encompass the swim pool project for their lap pool as the matching funds, the funds that they're going to pay to do that project. The county basically said, okay, that can count, or that you can use that as matching funds to get the $500,000. So yes, it is a matching, but the taxpayer will not be matching those funds.
Right.
Just spend that grant and reallocate it then.
So we got $1 million. So there's $1 million, and we're gonna make the tennis court. Are they gonna make basketball courts there?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
So tennis and
Ron,
basketball.
why don't you at least give your thinking, not that we're right.
The issue is do we need to have, can we do it with just 6 tennis courts, or do we have to have a minimum of 7 tennis courts? And the question was, with the Board of Ed, we're trying to find out what the agreement was when they made the agreement back in '07, I think, or whenever that was. If we need to have 7 tennis courts, then we have 7 tennis courts and hopefully 2 basketball courts.
Right.
If we need to have 6, then we'll have 6 and hopefully 2 basketball courts.
Right.
And we'll also have lighting, all new fencing, and everything. So that's basically where we're at right now, that project.
Some of the
There's a lot of
residents.
ideas, but the council hasn't discussed it. For example, the lighting is talking about, if you look at what the nice lighting that's on Victor Crowell Park, that's the kind you'd like to have up here. The other lighting is to light up the tennis courts and basketball, because they have it as a tennis court. You can talk about anything that has to do with that complex. You might want to pave that whole road over instead of just having the stone there. So this has not been discussed in the council yet. We're waiting for the engineer to come up with a projection, the council to discuss it, and then try and finalize it. It'll be discussed at a public meeting, so you'll have every opportunity to make a comment.
I don't want to put the budget before the worst. Just an interesting footnote, there's an interesting meeting going on tomorrow at the Division of Pensions and Benefits, the League of Municipalities is gonna be there. One of the fellows that follows the pension system kind of closely, out of East Brunswick, it looks like he believes that the state is, not giving the local governments a fair share of the investment income in the pension funds. And because it was 3.8 million that the pension funds made last year, they're basically allocating 59% using kind of a smoke and mirrors type of accounting. And they really should be allocating 65% of the investment income. So it's only 6%, but that still comes out to be $250 million, very significant.
And also, the Association I belong to is taking the same approach, the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association, same approach to not paying our due share. The only other problem I have with the state government, not necessarily government, but the state government is that a lot of the grants go to the county, and then the county passes them down. I would like to see in this one that Cologne's office, I'm very interested because it's going to go to the municipalities.
Right.
There's no cutoff, or there's no saying, well, you're our stepchild, or whatever. I usually have a good working relationship with our county, but again, it puts the onus on him, where I would like to spend money on our own.
Yeah, I just want to give you a heads up. I'll, keep my eyes and ears open.
Appreciate
And
it.
I'll let you know what comes out of this meeting, what the state treasurer has to say. Bill Dressel and a few other finance officers gonna sort of rattle their cage a little bit tomorrow. So, I'll pass along some information and perhaps then we can disseminate that to, any legislators that you may know, and you can kind of impact the issue that way. It's unfortunate we have to do that, but, so you gotta do the right thing. Thank you.
Peter Carroll, 432 Giles Avenue. And Pete touched on most of the issues I was going to talk about, except for the videotaping issue. I'd like to just preface my statement with saying you'll have to forgive me for being one of those Americans that really doesn't trust their government. So in that statement, I just don't agree with your whole premise of this ordinance right at the moment. You yourself, Mayor, said that in your 26 years, only once has anyone wanted to come in and videotape, but yet you were talking about limiting the number of cameras, which could effectively stop me from videotaping. And I'd like to just call your attention to the decision in Torres versus Borough Pine Hill, in a unanimous decision by the New Jersey Supreme Court. In the opinion written by Chief Justice Zazali, it says the appellate division correctly noted that the common law right to videotape is neither absolute nor unqualified. Citizens are not permitted to disrupt the meetings with their recording equipment. Accordingly, public bodies may impose reasonable guidelines to ensure that the recording of the meeting does not disrupt the business of the meeting, of the body or of the citizens' right of access. Finding City Council's restrictions on common law right to videotape were too arbitrary and capricious, too restrictive and unreasonable. In Maurice River 2, the appellate division held that the public body could implement guidelines designed to regulate and control reasonably the videotaping of public proceedings. In all circumstances, such guidelines must be mutually adopted and administered and limited in scope to the state's purpose of preventing disruption. Conferring right to videotape public meetings to any person in attendance, provided that in such recording there is no active interference with the conduct of the meeting. In other words,
I think we meet that, and I don't expect,
well, if you're going to
I don't expect everybody to agree with the policies I'm putting forward to the council. And that's your privilege, okay? And you have every right to say that. And I have a letter, and I'm telling you that I'm a member of the New Jersey, and here's just one of the letters I got.
what I'm basically saying, Mr. Mayor, is if you're limiting one camera to the council chamber, All right, I'm just gonna arbitrarily pick someone. Miss Platten could come in with a video camera, and her being vice chairman of a political party in town could deny me a copy of her tape. Actually, she would be remiss in her responsibility as vice chairman of a political party in town to give me a copy of that tape.
Well, first of all, she'd have to do that, but second of all, I can't worry. We are all middle sections at this point. I don't recognize political parties, okay? And if she brought it in, she probably wouldn't be allowed to do it for the obvious reason. She's the vice chair, and I don't think she would do it anyway. I am protecting your right by this. I see nothing in here that harms you. I see nothing that why you would not trust us. This is for your protection. If there is, say Piscataway comes in, they don't do it very often, but I have letters. It's not just here, and I'm going to send, with permission of the council and the attorney, I want to send our draft to this person who happens to be the administrator in Woodcliff Lakes, and that's only one of them. This is New Jersey Municipal Managers Association. So it's not unique to Middlesex, and we haven't done anything that harms your right or anyone else's rights. If there's 2 cameras in, then the first one that gets in, and you're here all the time, so I have no doubt that you'll be the first one in.
Again, I just would like to call your attention to that line that says conferring right to videotape public meetings to any person in attendance. And then again, I haven't seen a copy of the draft ordinance because there wasn't one available.
They're right there, they're all there.
Oh, all right, I only, when I walked in, only the boat ordinance was up there. So I'll grab one on the way.
Read it over, the councilman first is the one that's responsible.
Now, I know that you would like for me to email the borough clerk, which is fine, I'm absolutely fine with that. However, in regards if there's a special meeting called, depending on the time frame in which that special meeting is called, it might not give me the time to notify the borough clerk on Friday before the meeting.
We will bend over backwards, whether you trust us or not, to make sure everyone's rights are protected, and that might include 2 people doing it. Why should you worry?
I just wanted to bring up a couple concerns.
And why should somebody else that wants to come in? I'm not even saying a political party, somebody else might want to come in. We're talking about changing our approach to our website. Maybe that person would like to come in, I don't know. But I can't go on what if, or what if somebody else. You're the only one that's come so far. And I don't expect anybody else, to be honest with you. No one wants to take the time that you're taking to take it. And I like being taken. I'm sort of egotistical, you'll find that out.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're quite welcome.
Chris Master, 128 seconds. Just a couple questions about the boat ordinance. Does it apply only to the portion of the driveway that's behind the front of the house?
What I heard tonight is the council has rejected by the proper votes to what the planning board, so it's going back to the planning board for redefinition. So I can't answer that. Does anyone else want to honor council first, or you do? Okay. So I can't really answer. It's been rejected.
It's not going back to the planning board. It's not going back to the planning board.
It's going for introduction.
It's going for introduction on the 28th.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All that does go is.
So the question stands, does it,
Basically, again, the definite, the parking on the side yard, in the ordinance describes what the side yard is. Basically, it's the side of the house, it can't protrude beyond, in other words, it can't go beyond the front of your building, your home, your house. It could be, again, it has to be either paved or have stone there underneath it on the side yard. In the backyard, no. If you have in the backyard, you can just put it in the backyard. Or obviously in the garage, you know what to do.
and does this apply only to trailered
Recreation
vehicles or RVs
trailers?
as well, motorized?
Motorized RVs are a whole different ordinance that has nothing to do, this is just trailered vehicles, either trailer RVs or boats.
Okay, so in effect, you're considering that portion of the driveway.
It doesn't have to be a part of the driveway, it could be your side yard, and maybe it is a part of your driveway, but it doesn't have to be.
But not
It's your side yard, not going beyond the front of your house.
Front house.
Yeah.
So we've gone full circle on this thing. Basically where we started.
that's something that I know the committee talked about way back when, before it went to the planning board, yes.
Frank Ryan, 303 Maple Street. Just want to start out, it's Valentine's night tonight. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I appreciate everybody giving their time up here, especially on Valentine's night. And Bill Moore's phone went off, so I got to make it short. His girlfriend's telling him to get his ass home. I want to see, Mayor, and then I saw in the borough newspaper about the garbage being picked up during the summer months for health reasons. I'm questioning if the garbage is being picked up on our maintenance code on 317-1. Garbage and rubbish as defined in this article, garbage containers will be permitted adjacent to the roadway on the night before and on the day hours of pickup. Containers. I've got pictures, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't consider this a container. A container, when this was put into effect, was a garbage can with a lid. Half the town uses this as a garbage container. So if we're worried about rodents and raccoons, they're all in my backyard, I've got everything. And I got pictures, the bags are ripped open. Are we going to enforce that, what's on the books? And then on July 27, 2010, we passed an ordinance that says an ordinance requiring dumpsters and other refuse containers within the borough of Middlesex that are outdoors or exposed to stormwater to be covered at all times. So I just think, as far as I'm concerned, this is, I've got pictures where the cats, the raccoons get into the neighbor's garbage because this is put out, and in the last snowstorm, they ripped the bags open, whether it was a cat or raccoon. So if we're so concerned with picking up garbage in the summer, we should be concerned with the proper container with a lid on it.
I don't have any problem with that. But I think one of the things you have to do is give me some time. I'm only here 2 months. I meet every morning with the DPW, and anybody who wants to blame the DPW, they should blame me. Because I'm calling where they're doing what they're doing. Okay, but I need some time. And I'll address all those issues for you. I'm not sure that's a top priority right now. We have some very serious things, but we will get back to you. We will get back to you. One thing I want to tell you, and also, I look for help for everybody. The gentleman that spoke a while ago had a lot of good ideas. I'm looking for help from a lot of people. But Mr. First gave me this, okay? Now, and he should. That's his job as a councilman. This is a lot of leaves and stuff. Now, Frank, I know you wouldn't take these pictures, okay? Because you know that we meet. We've met for many years in my office, and you brought up items like this to me, and I had the opportunity to talk to you about it. And that's what I think is important. Not 14 days after an incident happens, but the time so I can nip it in the bud. Mr. Hoffman has brought several ideas, but it's 14 days after the fact. And that to me is grandstanding. Whatever you call it, and I know, you met with me also, there's nothing I'm saying that's not surprising.
It's not grandstanding, sir.
We have a difference of opinion.
It's not
If you see a
grandstanding.
problem that happens on Monday, and you wait till 2 weeks to tell me, there's nothing I can do about it. And I tell you, we're out. And Frank knows better. He wouldn't take this. Whether, and you know, Frank and I might not be of the same agreement.
Well, Frank's
Not even the
talking
same
to you
party.
now, I'm not, so why don't you talk to Frank?
Frank
You'll have your
knows-
time with me in 5
Frank
minutes.
knows that I put him on a committee as chairman. And he also knows if I'm going to be stabbed in the back by people that are part of my administration, he isn't going to be there. So I expect Frank to be in my office and to discuss it. And then if he's not happy, then he comes to the full council. Haven't we done that all the years?
Well, yeah, I don't know, I'm not blaming,
I'm not.
I don't know if you just said I'm blaming the DPW.
No, I said people have. People that followed the DPW.
Oh, no, you're
I'm
talking
not
off
blaming you, I'm
yard
not blaming
there.
anybody.
No, oh, yeah, no, I'm
I'm
just
saying
saying,
that if
Doing
there's
this
problems
enough.
with
Grandstand.
DPW, it's my fault, it's not their fault. I meet with them every day, I look
oh,
at
yeah,
them.
no, no, maybe we're starting off on the wrong foot here.
Don't worry about you, I'm not talking this,
Oh.
I'm talking in general.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand, but when I saw this in the newspaper, maybe I should have called you up or came down to the office. I'm just saying, I know last year in 210, we passed, whatever this was passed, it has to be in a container.
This is appropriate for this meeting. You didn't have to come to me on this. This is very appropriate. There's no complaints or anything. I'm not saying you can't do this. I think you can do it without coming to see me. And I think we're gonna take it under advisement. If that's the problem and that's being addressed, we'll talk to the Board of Health and we'll talk to our consultant from the county and we'll address it. But I agree that the tops should be on container. As I
Yeah, and I'm
agree
not
that-
saying, maybe
I
I'm,
agree that dumpsters should also have tops on it.
okay. Yeah, no, I don't want you to, well, the way you presented it here, I don't know if it's Mr. Hoffman taking,
Oh, I'm with
the
you.
point was that if we are going to take the steps to do one thing, I think this is as important, if not more, that to keep squirrels, keep raccoons or cats out of the garbage. And then if with enforcing, again, if somebody puts out their garbage on a Saturday because they're going away for the weekend and their garbage gets picked up on Monday,
And you're right, it's the same thing as putting out cardboard boxes when it's raining. I mean,
that's all thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And don't forget, you don't have to bring coffee when you come to see us. Yes, John?
John Hoffman, 455 Lincoln Boulevard. I apologize for not getting things to you in a timely manner, but I have a job and a life. I don't run the DPW like you do, and nothing I do has anything to do with grandstanding. It has to do with making the quality of life better for everyone in the town.
And you and I talked.
Okay? That's all it's about. Okay? Now, I agree totally with Frank. You drive around the town, every home now has about 6 or so of these tall kitchen bags laying in the front yard, ripped apart by animals in the morning. Okay? I know we started enforcing recycling also in the waste, and that went by the wayside last year or the year before.
People are being tagged right now.
Okay, that's a very important issue, I think, because, we get money for that recyclables, or we pay to get rid of recyclables that we should be getting money for. It's a waste of money. Now, and whatever happened to a recycling coordinator down at the yard down there?
There is no recycling.
I know, there was one that got appointed and quit because he didn't like somebody. So where do we stand with that? Are we ever gonna get another one?
There was never a recycling coordinator because they had to be certified. There's no one certified
Okay.
in this town. To do the grants, we have to depend on the county for signing the grants. Okay? Whether there'll be one or not, that's really up to the council. I really don't see a need. I think, and I know you were over there, I was over there early this morning, probably a little later than
I was
you
there
were.
twice today.
And, okay, I'm just saying, I know you were there once, I was there once. I think the yard looks 100% better than it
Yes, it
did
does.
last year.
I totally agree.
Okay, and I think the movement that Pete Julian is doing is fantastic over there. Okay, I think he's doing a nice job. Will he ever be qualified? I'm not sure of that. And do we have to pay someone a salary, a part-time or anything? I'm not sure of that yet. If the county's willing to sign off on that, and Keith is doing the job, the necessary paperwork for the grants and everything, why hire somebody that, even a stipend is still money out of the budget?
I understand.
So I don't know the answer to your
Well, it's an
question.
important stipend, I think, the recycling coordinator. It's something that fell by the wayside in this town for years now. We were on the top and now we're on the bottom. Well, that's fine. Yeah, the recycling yard does look very good. I mentioned that to Mr. Giuliano today. I don't want to bring up any names. It does look good. I don't want to be negative, but I don't understand what took so long to get some truckloads of gravel in there just to level that off. I hate to say, to me, it seems like things have to do who's in office. okay? That's what it seems like to me, that different things are being done now that different people are in office. That's my opinion.
I don't blame anyone in the past for anything. that
I'm not blaming anybody, I'm expressing my opinion, sir.
All I can tell you is I have a job to do and I have to do it the way I see it.
So do I. Mr. Demure there, I think that was a very good thing there, bringing up the pool commission issue and the 25,000 administration. I think that was ridiculous for them to be charged that, and I wish them good luck in dealing with the Board of Ed to get their lap pool done, because they're held hostage until them tennis courts get done. And as he said, it is a matching grant. The pool commission is the one matching the grant for their lap pools. So I was even told by the head of the recreation department that it wasn't a matching grant, but it is a matching grant. The pool commission's matching the grant, not the taxpayers. And they do a wonderful job there. I've only attended one meeting of theirs, but, you know, they got all their ducks in a row. They run a good thing. If everything in the town ran like that, we'd be in good shape. About them field lights at the high school. You brought up Shincock Field here, okay? That's been a peeve of mine for some time now. How, I know we can't do anything in the past, and this is not grandstanding once again. I know this was in 2010 and last year. But I bring these things up to prevent things in the future, okay? In 2010, the taxpayers, through HUD money, gave a private organization $46,000 for field lights. They had field lights. And they also had bleachers that were out of compliance for 4 years. I was sitting in a meeting across the hallway when this was brought up. At this point, the head of the rec commission, I says, well, why would you get lights when you had lights when the bleachers were bad? No response. It's in the meeting minutes, by the by. Now, she comes up this year, or no, it was last year, comes up, wants $34,000 to $43,000 for bleachers down there. Okay? That doesn't happen. The town puts it up to bid, $62,000 to $104,000 for these bleachers. The bid comes in, $54,000. They're installed shoddily. Who caught that? Mr. Hoffman. They still haven't been paid from what I understand. They didn't even install them to their own specs, and they've been there playing with them several times since. I don't know where they stand. I'll talk to our construction official probably tomorrow about that. So now here we are. The taxpayers of Borough donated $100,000 to a private organization in the town.
Okay, let me answer the question, because I've been working it also, because I saw that this company was not paid from October of 2010, okay? When I talked to the construction official, he said that the first plans that came in, what they were building there was not in compliance with what their use was, okay? So then they handed a second one in, and that wasn't in compliance with what they did. I understand the footings and everything are in now. They're 70-some feet long. I understand that the construction official I talked to him today has approved that. Now, right or wrong, if you think it's shabbily, that's your opinion.
Well, it's done better now because I went and brought it up to them.
Well,
They came into, excuse me, sir, they came into town. They still have to go through the construction process. They don't have to pay for permits, but they still have to be watched by the construction officials. They went there, installed them bleachers without notifying anybody. Till I went by there, I seen how bad they were by driving by. They're like this, all up and down. Anything like that is made to be put on a level surface. From what I understood, it's supposed to be concrete footings and pads. But you know what? How did they get 3-foot footings under them bleachers? I'd like to check the depth on them. I might one day when I don't have nothing better to do. I'll get Frank to help me.
Talk to the construction.
I will, but I'd like to know how they got these 3-foot deep footings under a bleacher, under a stand, a seat this high. That had been a trick. Well, the original ones were the size of a coffee cup with an anchor bolt stuck in them. That was my issue, and that was done last year.
And I appreciate that.
Not 2010, 2011.
I appreciate that. The problem is they do have to get permits. They don't have to pay for them, but they still need permits because they have to be inspected.
Well, what happened actually, from what I understood from the official, was they submitted plans, which I don't know, how did we bid this?
bids. How did this get bid on without proper plans being submitted?
I have no idea.
What kind of bid was approved? That bothers me because you think the whole installation be in the bid of what they were supposed to do.
I'm not going back to 2010, I'm starting.
It's 2011. It was only a few months back.
I'm not going back there.
Okay, well, we gotta go back sometimes. If we didn't go back, you wouldn't be here. Thank you. Remember, everything that's old comes back.
I made many mistakes in my 20s.
I'm not even going there.
So you go back there. Ask Fran.
Well, just one more thing. Now, with Mr. Demura, I'm just addressing him because he brought up, is there something that has to be changed in the wording in this ordinance or something you said about the boats?
Yes, there, if you look on,
42024B?
right, if you look at where it says, in the side yard, providing a minimum 2-foot setback from the side property line not to exceed beyond the front of their building.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, well, it says no part of recreation vehicle, boat, or trailer shall extend into the front yard
Okay,
area.
see, mine doesn't say that, so if that does say that,
Oh, okay.
then that's okay.
Oh, okay, because that's what I'm looking at.
Okay, because mine doesn't say that.
Now, just to make this clear, because Mr. Masters came up and said we came full circle back on this. No, this is a compromise. The original ordinance stated that it had to be in a rear yard or in a garage. This is a compromise to allow it in the side yard. Everybody get that clear. This is not full circle. It was rear yard or garage. Now it's permitted in the side yard as long as it doesn't stick past the front of the house. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I comment on that? Just before you speak, Mr. Mayor, to defend Mr. Masters, what he was talking about is when we had a meeting and we discussed that with him. I think that he was referring that to me and saying that.
Okay.
That's why he said that.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up.
I should be addressed, Chris Master, 128 Second Street. I should be addressing the council, but since it is a title reference, in fact, because they're striking
Sir,
248.
you have to address me, you don't address the others, thank you. You can talk to me about what he did wrong, but that's okay.
Well, it brought my name into it. And I have nothing to do with the council, so I'll address the mayor and note that in fact, it's actually stricter because we struck 248, which is a land use ordinance, which did allow it as far back as possible in the driveway. And you might care to relay that to Mr. Hall.
Great, thank you.
Is there a copy of the ordinance there? I didn't know. Jotted it down.
I'll make a copy.
I have one. Okay, yeah, good. I have, ladies and gentlemen, if you might need another mayor, don't get out by 9 o'clock. Go ahead,
I'm quick.
go ahead.
The mic's not on, so I'm not even going. Just also want to comment on this ordinance right here. You know,
Which one is that?
this is the boat and trailer thing. I don't own a boat and trailer, so it really doesn't affect me too much, but I just want to point out that a group of individuals appealed this ordinance and got the zoning official to say, yeah, there was something wrong. And our planning board went through 7 months of attorneys, engineers, meetings, only to have their recommendation come back here, get tossed out by the wayside. 2 guys from this council take 2 weeks, come back, rewrite it, the whole council accept it and move on. I just can't believe we wasted all that money and all these time for all these volunteers, and you just nonchalantly throw it to the side. I don't really need a response, this is my opinion, I think it's a little ridiculous. Because you guys aren't as qualified as these people were when they originally wrote it.
I can only tell you that, unfortunately, that's the way the government operates, and the 2 people that are responsible met agreement, and I don't have the background you had, Michael. I wasn't here last year, I don't know why they were saying it was. I knew that, I know that I met them Friday night to vote over it. I'm very discouraged about it, okay, so I can tell you that. But that's up to the council. The final decision rests with this governing body, mainly the council.
That's why I don't trust the government.
This is an opinion I had, we appoint these boards, we give them all this responsibility, we give them all this money so they can go and hire attorneys and professionals, and then things come back here and they just get tossed out. I think it's kind of ridiculous. A compliment to Joanne Bergen. Every time I come here and she's here, does a stellar job. It always seems like she's been in this situation before and has good advice, so.
You can't know how much I depend on her.
Little shout out for you. increase the garbage twice a week. Last year, DPW right here said, we don't have enough manpower to do our job. That's why we can't do our job. That's why we can't deliver all the services that are expected of us.
Well, they're wrong. And I can
Well,
tell you,
we
I can tell you, any move that we've made so far does not increase the budget. It's a matter of moving people around and moving some of the money around.
So you're,
Whether you agree with it or not,
so you're saying all the supervisors for the DPW?
no, I just said they were wrong on that issue, and I proved it to them.
Well, the DPW was in here last week, and they said that they had a very low percentage of the time, they've had all this extra manpower for a year. So are you saying they basically abused the privilege that they had with all that extra manpower?
Don't try to put words in my mouth.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm just saying.
How did the committee, Mike, here's my question. How did the committee arrive at the fact that they have enough money in the budget? They have the manpower to increase twice a week garbage pickup, which takes up a lot of people. And all these other things are gonna get done. How did the committee address that?
Very easy. I wrote a big document to justify the four part-time temporaries working, instead of having 18 free hours, they're gonna have 6 free hours. To do that, the other people are gonna have to pick it up. Also, we're gonna reduce, and once we pick up, you have 4 garbage trucks, and to do twice a week, you're gonna have 3. Mainly because of the load that comes with once a week pickup is heavier stuff than twice a week.
Are you personally managing the DPW every day?
I personally meet with them every day.
Then why do we have supervisors that we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars?
They're their supervisors.
Are you telling me that they're unqualified?
No, I didn't say that. You're trying to put words in my mouth.
No, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to
I'm saying that I came up with a plan that this council has accepted at this point, okay? They're gonna vote on it. Whether they vote yes or not, it's an up or down vote. Whether you agree with what I'm doing or not, that's up to you. I don't expect everybody to agree with what I'm doing in town. But I'm a very active mayor, and I intend to be an active mayor, okay? And what happened in the past, I'm not blaming anybody. You were on the council, you did what you thought was right. I have to do what I think is right.
I just want to go on the record, this job wasn't getting done when you were the mayor.
All of,
So don't tell me that all of a sudden you figured it out in your
let's not get into, I can take the blame. But I don't want to get into what you didn't do when you were council. That's playing games.
I'm not the one that's up there. We don't have to go.
I'm up there because I'm the mayor. And all the department heads report to me. Whether you like that or not, they report to me on a day-to-day issue. Okay, I have a councilwoman that has responsibility. I have council people that has responsibility, and so does the council president. And again, if you disagree, you're entitled to that. We happen to know that what we talked to a lot of people, we talked to the person that's from the Board of Health that runs that the twice a week pickup is a good idea at those months.
So the rest of the state of New Jersey, most of them do once a week.
I don't really care what the rest of the state.
If they're doing that,
I don't care what the state does.
so the state does.
The state does not provide the services for Middlesex Borough. When they're willing to pay all our bills, then I'll listen to the state.
Okay, I just want to go on the record saying my opinion is
That's all right.
that
I agree with you.
I think it's a little ridiculous that all these people have all this years of experience of running this department or being other people who ran the department. And now you're coming in within the first couple months and just saying, listen, everything you've been doing wrong, or everything you've been doing wrong, because you're essentially contradicting everything that they come in here and say. And I watch them every time they come in here. And that's after I was a councilman.
Let's not forget that I was mayor for 26 years. Let's not forget that I have a vast knowledge of management from all my experience in the pharmaceutical industry and the public industry. And let's not forget that I'm a member of the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association. So if you want to throw that out or balance that against the DPW, go ahead. But don't pick on it, pick on me.
I'm not picking on the DPW.
Well,
I don't have it.
Which is fine.
If you want to see it as I'm picking on you, that's fine. I'm just stating the fact that I think it's odd that we have all this management and all these meetings for years and years and years. And also you come in, change the whole game plan.
Do you think I did that? Do you really believe I did this in isolation without not talking to the supervisor?
No, but I believe that, and see, that's really what I want to understand. I want to understand why these guys have changed their tune. It's a complete 180. And that's why I was asking, how did the committee arrive at that? Because it is completely opposite to what